Welcome to Samu't Sari, Conversations with Mimi, a weekly podcast by Social, also a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Samu't Sari is where we can show that ordinary people do extraordinary things. Tune in to be entertained and to learn something new with your host, Mimi Lorilla.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Samu't Sari Conversations with Mimi, a podcast featuring hot topics and other topics of interest to men and women alike. And as always, we love featuring guests here on the show who share their passion and commitment to their profession or talents. And here at Samu't Sari, we share stories to inspire you, stories from ordinary people who make extraordinary things. And today's episode is part two of my collab episode with financial coach from South Australia, Jelyn Davies. And we've discussed in a previous episode the introduction around mindset over money matters, how to become debt free, how to release yourself from the bondage of your financial woes and blues, especially when you're living in another country, when you are in abroad. So I welcome Jelyn again. Jelyn, welcome to part two of this very important podcast about financial literacy. Financial literacy ba natin matatawag to? Say hello to our viewers and listeners.
Yes, thank you, Miss Mimi. And hello po sa lahat ng mga nakikinig kay Miss Mimi, the Samu't Sari podcast. Yes, I think it's a good term to use na financial literacy kasi hindi tayo tinuruan ng ganito sa school. So it's just like we're just starting to learn about it now. Kumbaga, if parang minsan naiisip mo na lang, if I only knew what I know now, then mas okay sana yung finances ko. But you know what? I still believe that walang late when it comes to finances. You can still do something about it, and you know, it's just a process. It's mindset, to be honest. It's mindset. It's not a math issue. It's not a math problem. It's a behavioral issue. So yeah.
Yes. Kaya nga excited ako sa part 2 kasi parang masyado akong enlightened sa ating part 1 in a previous episode. Ngayon, I'm excited to know what sort of strategies, doable tips, and action points that you can share. And I'm sure our listeners and viewers are also waiting for that. So, ngayon lang ako nagkaroon ng direct encounter with a financial coach. So, I'm also learning along the way. So, Jelyn, just review to us a little bit around yung mga main points mo from the last episode, and then link it with some of the doable, actionable tips or strategies that you can share to us para talagang matulungan natin lahat ng mga kababayan natin na maging mas masinop ba, matatawag mo doon, or mas maging wise sa pera.
Yeah. Now, it's always, as I keep on saying, ewan ko, Miss Mimi, kung medyo sobrang gasgas na yung word na budget. But budget is the key. To be honest, budget is the key. So, ang sinasabi ko dito, lahat ng kailangan mong, kasi minsan, before you do the tipid tips and everything, kailangan mong isulat. There is a power in writing because that is like, naliwanagan ka, nakita mo, there's something na very adamant in writing the things and seeing it. Kasi pwede mo isipin, lalo na ngayon in our world na puro, you know, itap mo lang, nabawasan na yung pera mo and all that. And then pag tiningnan mo, nagastos mo na eh. Before you know it, wala na. So there's something in writing it and knowing how much you earn and how much do you really spend. So once na nakita mo yon, then I think that's where it becomes, sometimes it becomes a realization of, wow, meron pala akong naiwang pera, or, you know, I am not spending everything that I'm earning. Or you can be on the other side of the coin that, oops, I am this, you know, I am normal, I am spending everything that I earn. Minsan kulang pa. That's why I touch credit card, or I touch this personal loan, or payday loans, and all these things. So for me, it's always start with a budget. write everything down. Lahat, kahit ano pa yan, isulat nyo. Kahit nga, kasi minsan, Miss Mimi, meron ako isang kliyente actually sa office na nagsabi sa akin, naka-Excel naman ako, Ate Jelyn eh. You know what? Inilalagay ko naman lahat ng mga gastos ko sa Excel eh. Nagastos mo na muna bago mo nilagay sa Excel. Ibig sabihin, tapos na, nagastos mo na. Wala ka ng control doon. Pero bago ka gumastos, i-Excel mo muna. Tingnan mo muna kung ano yung mga yun. And work with the budget. Let's face it, wala namang nagugutom dito. If you budgeted $200 for your grocery this month, then you just work with that. Even your kids will say, oh, I want McDonald's or Hungry Jacks. No, it's not on the budget. It's not on the budget. We're not having it, you know? So yeah, that's one big thing. And I know na hindi ito basta-basta. What we are trying to teach you, it takes 3 months for the brain to click in. Huwag kang magagalit sa sarili mo na pag nag-start ka ng mag-budget, dun ka lalong naging magastos. That is just normal. It's okay. Because sometimes, yung realization, psychologically, tingin mo, dinedeprive mo yung sarili mo eh. But I keep on telling my clients, give yourself 3 months. 3 months is a good number for you to learn the process. You cannot unlearn all this stuff in one week. Hindi.
That's right.
So,
hindi sila pwedeng magmadali. Okay. So, maybe just parang reminder then. So, if any of our viewers and listeners would also like to get a pen and paper right now, sabayan nyo si Jelyn sa kanya in-explain. So, step 1, write a budget, no? And then, the other things na remember nyo as tips and strategies from Jelyn, write it down na rin para makatulong din sa kanilang planning. So, alam naman natin ng budget, that's money coming in and that's money coming out, right? Pero in terms of managing your budget properly, ano-ano ba yung mga components ng isang magandang budget? Para kahit $200 lang talaga yung money that they can spend within the week, maaatado nila ng mabuti yan. So, it's about planning before you spend, di ba? Sabi mo nga. So, what should the budget include?
Well, this is before they will start. So, sinulat mo na. I think if our listener are really interested with this, before ka pa mag-budget, sinulat mo na. So, as I've said, there's power in writing this on paper, on purpose. So, this is the start. Once you start writing it on purpose and on paper, nakikita mo everyday, it becomes a tangible, then this is the start na you are really wanting to change your finances. Your financial life will gonna be starting today once you started writing. Now, ang number 1 na tip ko, Miss Mimi, is set aside $1,000. Set aside $1,000. That is your emergency fund. Kung meron kang 10,000 nakasave, kasi this is very cultural sa atin eh. Correct me if I'm wrong, pero pwede mong ginawa ko ito before. Meron tayong savings na 10,000 dyan, for example, or 5,000, or more than 1,000, let's say 5,000. Pero may utang ka sa credit card na 3,000. May utang ka sa ganito na 2,000. And pinanghihinayangan mong bayaran yung utang mo na yon dahil natatakot ka na wala kang savings. But in reality, you really don't have savings. Yung saving na nakalagay dun sa gilid na 5,000 is not a real savings. Kasi pag binayaran mo lahat ng mga utang mo, wala ka talagang savings eh.
Tama.
That's why we needed to scrap everything. Mag-umpisa tayo sa zero. So $1,000, bago ka pag mag-budget, bago mo pag gustong bayaran ng mga kautangan mo, it needs to be a process. That's why we keep on saying 7 baby steps. These are baby steps that will help you na hindi ka na lang sige ng sige, bara ng bara. It becomes very organized and it becomes your tool in reaching that baby step number 7. And it works. It works for so many people. Imposibleng hindi mag-work sa'yo, but you need to change that behavior. So as I've said, $1,000, yun lang. Kahit anong mangyari, yun ang nakatabi. $1,000 is really for emergency. Like talagang emergency na nasiraan ka ng gulong or something like that na hindi mo kailangang i-swipe yung credit card mo. So it's there, walang gagalawin dyan, andyan lang siya pag kailangan siya. And then you start your budget. Lahat ng savings mo, you need to reduce your debts with that. And then that will make you even more. Actually, yung first few steps, first step 1, 2, and 3, hindi sila komportable. Actually, para silang kailangan ko ba talaga makinig sa kanya? Baka mali itong step. But it's not. It's like everything diet, it's the same. Same with this money finances. So, yeah.
So, ang question ko dyan, paano pag may nagsabi, wala po akong 1,000, pwede po ba mag-start na lang ako sa 500? Or pwede ba every month magtabi na lang ako ng 100 hanggang sa ma-reach ko yung 1,000? Kasi hirap po ako, I don't have a stable job, I'm only a casual worker. 1,000 is easy for a person who has a full-time job, for example, regular source of income.
That's a very good question, Miss Mimi. So you will only start doing the baby steps once you have that $1,000.
Okay, so hindi sila ready hanggat wala silang 1,000.
Yep, noy, kasi magiging lang siyang disorganized kasi ay kailangan ko ng ganito, and then you will dip into debts again. You will do things that you don't need. So yeah, the first step is we're giving them 4 weeks to save this 1,000. Kung kaya mong may 1,000 ka na agad, then it's good.
That's
But
right.
kung wala, then it's a process. As I've said, it's a process. It's like a diet. You know, may change ka sa iyong finances. Parang katawan mo na gusto mong i-diet, gusto mong pumayat, o gusto mong tumaba, you need to do something different. Otherwise, you're still getting the same result if you're not changing anything. So
Correct.
yeah, that's their starting point. $1,000 as an emergency fund.
Okay. Now,
And then
na-reach
after
na nila yon, na-reach na nila. So, ready na sila. Excited na sila. May 1,000 na ako. Naitabi ko na yan. So, what do? I just, every week set aside more money for the emergency fund, or how does that work?
No. So the next step is, this is where the real budget is gonna work. This is where baby step number 2, you snowball your debts. If you have a debts, you start on the smallest debt. Hindi ibig sabihin nila, Ate Jelyn, bakit naman mag-start ako sa small? Ang laki ng interest rate ko dun sa malaki.
Correct.
Because it's not about math. Kung magaling ka sa math, in the first place, you're not in there. So it's more of psychological. Small winning dito is a big win. Pag nabayaran mo yung first credit card mo na may utang ka, for example, ng $200 or $300, or your payday loan na meron kang utang na 150 or 200, pag nabayaran mo yun, nawala yun, then that amount na binabayad mo dun dati, ililipat mo siya sa kabila. So, snowball ang effect nun. So, start from the smallest debt that you have, going to the bigger one. So, yung mga natatabi mo na pera doon, so
Correct.
it makes sense. Yeah,
Tama.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Mimi. So that's the third step. So, kung marami kang, depende sa kung gaano kalaki ang utang mo, or kung gaano mo kalaki ang expenses mo, or gaano kalaki ang shovel mo. We call it your income, because it all depends on the income as well. Kaya nga maraming nagsa-side hustle eh. Kaya tayo kilala tayo sa ganyan eh. Marami tayong racket. So, yung mga nira-racket mo, instead na pinambibili mo siya ng mga branded na stuff or whatever, ilagay mo na siya doon sa utang mo. And you will get out of that. Yun yung time. Ang baby step 2 is a wrong process. Hindi siya matatapos in 2 weeks. It took us 2 years to finish that. So it's a long process. And then after that, then you can have your number 3, which is the big emergency fund, which is your 6 months emergency fund. So this is really like lahat na binabayad mo dati sa utang mo, sa kotse mo and everything, ilalagay mo na ngayon dito sa third step, which is your big emergency fund. 3 to 6 months. Kung medyo OCD ka sa money like me, I put it with 6 months just to make sure, So yun. And hindi yun pwedeng galawin. It's still emergency if it's emergency. ang Pasko is not an emergency, ang birthday ng anak mo is not an emergency. So you need to put it on budget para unti-unti mong na tatabi yung pera para doon. Hindi mo nagagamit yung emergency.
Okay. Am I right in assuming that when you say unti-unti mong tinatabi, there's no fixed amount na strictly dapat ganito? It just depends on what your capacity is. Kaya nga sabi mo, it's a long process hanggang sa ma-reach mo yung next milestone na yon. So it doesn't matter kung tigta 10, 20, 50, 100 ang itatabi mo until ma-reach mo yung 3 to 6 months worth of that next big emergency fund. Am I right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, you are very right. Because, as I've said, ang plano dito ay hindi talaga, it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Matibay dito. So and you need to give yourself a grace as well. Small winnings makes you feel happy, and I know that being debt-free makes you feel happy already, but the process, yung medyo na pera mo yung first credit card mo, nag-take away kami. Alam mo yun, yung mga ganun ba na you give yourself that pat in the shoulder na you're telling you're doing a good job, this is for your future, you're not doing it like wrong, it is all good, it's for you. So yeah that's how.
And siguro part of the motivation, aside from really closing one utang after another, maybe they can also give themselves a small parang katulad nga na sinabi mo, reward, but not ostentatious naman para magkautang ka ulit, just a little something to reward yourself for your effort. So I remember one of our conversations is the fact that we cannot help but support our loved ones overseas. Does that fact is that fact, or does that way of life applicable in this budgeting framework? Is it still possible na magtatabi ka pa ng konti para magpadala ka, aside from nagtatabi ka talaga for your emergency funds and to close off all the debts?
Exactly, Miss Mimi. This is even, I think, the good thing here is you start your conversation back home at sabihin mo sa kanila that you are going into this process. It's like you're having a diet na hindi ka pwedeng lumabas at kumain with your other friends. You need, some people, they're telling it to their friends so that hindi na sila invite, alam mo yon. But in our case, we just keep it to ourselves kasi parang it's still a taboo pag pinag-usapan ng utang in our community. You know what I mean? But it's still good for you to tell it to your family back home na kailangan magkaroon sila ng fixed, or ikaw ay magbibigay lang ng fixed. Kunwari, sasabihin mo sa nanay mo na, Ma, in the next few months, we're just giving you 8,000 pesos a month or 10,000 pesos. Yung normal na binibigay mo sa kanila, hindi yung basta nilang sila hihingi and then they're expecting you to give basta ka nilang magbibigay. This time, I think the communication process is a good thing. It's a big key for them to know that, the more that you become more stable in Australia or in another country, the more that you can give back to them, na more na mas marami kang ibibigay. Hindi ka na lang pwedeng magbigay ng $100. You can even give thousands of dollars once your life is so stable here. So hindi sila pwedeng sumabay. That's a big thing. So yun, especially kung dalawa kayo, pareho kayong mag-asawang Pilipino, nakikita ko to na, yung nanay ko, kailangan bigyan ng ganito. Sabihin naman ng babae, but yung nanay ko, ako rin naman nagtatrabaho, yung mga ganun ba? So, you sit down, both of you as husband and wife. By the way, Miss Mimi, I needed to stress that if you are married, you need to be both
in the same page.
Hindi pwedeng isa lang. Hindi ako nagko-coach ng yung babae lang may gusto o yung lalaki lang may gusto. Balik kayo sa akin pagka pareho na kayong gusto nyo. Alam mo yun?
Correct.
So, because it's not gonna work. Sayang lang yung effort nyo, wag na lang kayo mag-start, to be honest. So yun, yung balik tayo dun sa pagbibigay ng pera sa Philippines. Marami kasi tayong pwedeng naging pangako or nakakompormiso na tayo na magpapaaral ako ng pamangkin ko, or magpapaaral ako ng kapatid ko, or something like that. So you can still do that. It's just that you needed to have that fixed amount to give it to them. And you need to make sure you let them know that you are doing this para mas secure mo yung life mo here rather than, at saka ayaw mo ng stress as well. So it's just a budget.
I think it's a good way or a good practice now to make them understand na we're not blocking you off our lives, but the reason why we have moved on and are trying a new life here, so we can make it better, not just for us, but for yourself. So by waiting also, you can help us fast track our future, so we will be able to help you out in the long term. Rather than sa umpisa pa lang, butas na agad ang bulsa ng lahat, walang maipadala, walang matatanggap, at hirap na hirap pa. So the reason why we're discussing this is we don't want you to fail and think that Australia is the reason why you did not succeed. No, it's not Australia that is the reason. Kahit na New Zealand pa yan, Abu Dhabi pa yan, Hong Kong, Singapore, it's not where you are that made you not succeed. It's the way you handled it that will make or break you. So ngayon pa lang, especially for those who are listening to us and viewing us na bago pa lang sa pag-abroad, this is really critical that you start thinking about this. At kung medyo hindi na kayo new, pero katulad niya ni Jelyn, based on her story before na at tagal-tagal na parang wala pa silang naipupuntar, wala silang naiipon. Again, Jelyn said it's not too late to realize and start doing something about it. Kasi all the opportunities are always available eh. It's up to us to turn our life around. So it's really nice. So don't think na nangangaral kami ni Jelyn only for the young ones, but also for the ones that have already been here for a long, long time, pero parang hindi pa rin nakikita ang kaibahan ng kanilang lifestyle. So everything that Jelyn is teaching you will help you really redefine and hopefully improve your lifestyle and your finances. So Jelyn, any other things that you can share as ways of managing their money and becoming more money wise? Tama ba yun? Be more wise with their finances.
Well, the other thing na nakikita ko ngayon, Miss Mimi, which is really the fad, is like, this is nothing against whatever networking business, whatever, uso kasi sa atin to eh, mahilig kasi tayo mag-invest, alam mo yon. Ay, yung tayong mga Pilipino, like, pag nakita mo, yumaman yung isang kakilala ko just selling that product or using that product and it becomes a networking and all that, then baka ako rin sasali rin ako kahit na hindi siya sa budget mo, kahit hindi mo siya linya, wala kang pera for that, wala kang time for that, sumasali ka, and it becomes a waste of money, to be honest. Kaya I think kung hindi ka talaga networker, kung hindi ka mahilig sa mga ganon, at kung nasa baby steps ka, if you're doing the budgeting and everything and you are not yet in a baby step number 4, which is like, because baby step number 3 is emergency fund. Right. Number 4 is, this is your future. So this is the time that you can invest. Kasi wala ka ng utang, pwede ka nang sumali sa mga yan. Kasi meron ka ng extra cash na pwede mong gamitin for that. Kung mawala man yun, kasi investment naman di mo talaga alam, then it's okay. So ngayon, ang payo ko sa mga kababayan natin na usong-uso po talaga ngayon tong mga ganito na, alam mo yun,
join ka, join.
Yeah, if you are in the baby steps, if you wanted to follow the baby steps, don't go with it for now until you reach baby step number 4. Because that is when you're starting to invest. Yun na yung meron na talaga kayong pera. Actually, baby step number 4 is where you can buy your new couch, new fridge. Alam mo yun, yun yung meron na kayong budget for that. So, I think yun ang nakikita kong medyo critical at this time.
Okay, but that's good. Pero siguro ang madadagdag ko lang dyan na hindi naman common nasa baby step number 4 na sila, mag-splurge na naman sila. Masyado silang ma-attach to the point na gagamitin na naman nila yung credit card. Sa totoo lang, Jelyn, in my family, we have goals. Okay? We have like wish lists and goals. So halimbawa, we really need this high-ticket item but we cannot afford it. We just plan it, parang nagkakaroon na kami ng queue or listahan or by order of priority, which one would we like to have first. Sabi mo nga, is it a new fridge or is it a new couch? Hindi pwedeng fridge and couch, one transaction lang yon. Kailangan meron kami something to look forward to. For example, na-achieve na namin yan. Okay, what's the next thing that we want to have? So, my daughter, who's my youngest daughter, she started working a year ago. So, as a part-time worker, meron na siyang sarili din niyang goals. Like, mom, at this time, I want to have a car, which she achieved. She's paying for it. I'm not paying for it. She's paying for the insurance. She's paying for everything. Because she waited and waited and waited and waited a long time. Kahit na sabi niya, Mama, you can add more money para kumbaga kasosyo kita sa pagbili ng car na to. I said, no. You will feel better if you purchase that from your own money and cash pa niya nga binayaran. It's not a brand new car, but it's a car that she uses for her work. So, that's a good deal, di ba? Parang mas masarap yung feeling ng ganon. That you, paunti-unti, yung bang emotional quotient natin, well, let's not try to be too, ang tawag dito, grabbing it na parang wala nang bukas. So, all my kids have done that same strategy. So, like now Christmas is coming, they're the ones asking us, what's your wish list, Mom? So they're the ones asking me. So they have a budget then. It should be within this price range, Mom, because this is only how much we can afford for each member of the family. You can have little items that total that budget, or you can have one item you want that totals that budget. It's up to you. It's flexible, the kind of gift you want, but it's not flexible, the budget. So you cannot go online and give them the link to an item you like that is over their budget. Otherwise, hindi ka na bibigyan. So, I'm happy that by listening to you, I'm reflecting upon what we're doing, and I'm glad that we are on the right track in a way. So, that's very good to know.
I think, Miss Mimi, you are in a right track. I think if you want your kids for me to sit down with them, I can do it for free for them.
Wow!
Alam mo yan, I think you need to do a little bit of refinement with that. Kasi minsan, nagbabudget ka. It's just that I wanted the young people, especially the millennials now, na magaling silang humanap ng pera, magaling sila sa maabilidad sila. But their biggest problem is their spending habits as well. Kasi nga, that's why it's financial literacy, because it becomes hindi talaga tinuturo to sa school, you know. It's never been a part of our educational system. It's not in our academ, in all that. And even in the Philippines, minsan nga gusto ko nang dalhin to sa Pilipinas kasi nakikita ko yung difference ng mga batang nakikita. And this is one thing na I wanted to stress as well. Your kids are watching you. If you are struggling with money, then it becomes, according to research, they will become like you. Mm-hmm. They will become an adult na nag-struggle then with money because they can see that in the parenting style that you have. So if you change, you want to change their legacy, you want to change their future, you want to change the generation that you are in, then it starts from you because your kids are watching you. Kung paano kayo, nakikita mo na ngayon pa lang, aminin na at hindi, makikita mo na ang mga batang, pag ang nanay naka-Louis Vuitton, bata pa yan, naka-Louis Vuitton na rin.
Yes.
Ganun. So it becomes a habit. It becomes like you just passing it on to your kids. So yun ang isang talagang tinanggal ko sa family namin. Like I wanted this generation, my kids will not gonna go through those things na mali naming mag-asawa. So it was really a good eye opener as well kung kayo na gusto niyo turuan yung mga anak niyo about money na hindi sila matulad sa inyo. Today is the day. This is the start of a new life when it comes to finances. So yeah, that's another big thing. And of course, Miss Mimi, your kids are starting to work. It's good for them to set aside money for their superannuation. So, yung mga nakikinig, not in Australia, for example, if you have 401k in America, in Canada, and all that things, it is so good dahil ang mga bata ngayon, yan ang kanilang X factor yung time. They got so much time. And just paying an extra $50 a week on your super, at the age of 50, you will have run about $800,000 on top the others.
Yeah.
Kumpara dun sa mga taong hindi naglalagay, kung 9.5% man lang yon, 9.5% lang. So, compared to them na ikaw na naglalagay lang ng $50 a week, for the next 20 years, tumigil ka na after your 20 years, you will reap the benefit of that in the future. So, yeah, and there's so many things that you will learn. Like, for example, you said that your kids are buying second-hand car, cash. That is 70% of that is an everyday millionaire here in Australia is the everyday millionaire here in Australia, 70% of them never had a brand new car. Never bought a
So, ibig
brand
sabihin
new
yung living and lifestyle talaga, you can really tell who are the millionaires as opposed to the millionaire wannabes.
Yes.
Are trying to be a
Yes,
millionaire. Alam mo, Jelyn, it's very, very interesting talking about money, and I think we can go on and on. I think my takeaway from today's episode is, like you said, we didn't talk about all the steps kasi fundamental, maintindihan muna nila yung first four. And I really suggest that if they want to know more about this, they contact you. You are a financial coach, and work with you on an individual basis. Because I'm thinking yung next steps na talaga is very specific to the needs of each person, and it will take time. Like you said, it's a process. You will be helping out them in terms of managing at iba-iba yung circumstances natin, iba-iba yung profile ng mga clients mo. At least we've given them something to start with, to think about, and how they could really try to change their lives around. And like I said, ako, nag-share din ako ng mga experiences ko, but I'm not like Jelyn who really knows her stuff. So ang suggestion ko talaga, if you're really interested, obviously you can reach out to our show, and I'll keep you in the loop. I'll keep you in touch with Jelyn. Jelyn, I think that's all that we can share for today. It's very enlightening, and I wish we could do this again. And if you need me to guest on your show and make me a case study, you can obviously invite me, and that's another episode. But for today, I really, really appreciate everything that you shared, and I wish to thank you for your time. So do you have any last messages for our viewers and our listeners?
Yes, Miss Mimi, I just wanted to invite them to go to our page, or my page, called Utnom, Utang No More. So I personally put it in that sense because I wanted to help Filipinos abroad. Hindi ko pinapangarap na mag-coach ng ibang lahi because, dito sila taga rito sila Alam na nila kung ano yung dapat nilang gawin. Alam mo yon. But for us, wala naman silang pinapadalhan sa Pilipinas. Alam mo yon. So yun ang pinaka reason kung bakit very specific yung niche market ko, targeted to Filipinos living abroad or even in the Philippines. They can use the steps. They can use this as their guide. And yeah, just subscribe dun sa our page, Utang No More. I'm starting to do my YouTube channel. I'm not as diligent as you are, but once everything is settled in my life at the moment, then I will start putting a lot of tips on the YouTube channel para makater lahat ng mga clients. And please, isa pang as I've said, it's a taboo to talk about money. Now, no judgment here. Hindi ito i-judge ka dahil marami kang utang, because this is a place to help you get out of that. Kasi mahirap na nag-iisa ka, it becomes nagiging depression in the long term, nagiging mental issue siya in the long term. Marami siyang magiging once hindi mo siya binigyan ng attention now. That is what I'm trying to say, na nakaka-stress siya. It's stressful and it affects every part of your life, your emotional, psychological, everything, even your health. So, kung gusto niyo po, just like our page, there's no specific pag tinamaan ka, maybe ikaw yon. Pag hindi, maybe para sa ibang tao, para sa kilala mo, that's the start. And sharing it and letting them know na mayroong pag-asa, na mayroong help. And I am not teaching about richness and wealth here, but it's more of having a stress-free lifestyle here abroad. Na mas nilulook after din natin yung sarili natin dito. Pag hindi tayo stress dito, the more that we could give, and the more that we can help more with the people back home, with our family back home. So, yun lang siguro yung pwede kong sabihin, Miss Mimi. And again, salamat po ng marami. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for inviting me in your podcast. And I hope na mag-subscribe po kayo kay Miss Mimi. Napakadami ng topic na so out of the blue but it's so necessary. Talagang nakaka-enlighten, tsaka nakakataba ng puso na, meron yung heart mo to help others and give them the information that they needed. It's really such a blessing. And it's just, I'm so grateful to know you, Miss Mimi. So, yeah.
Diba? Mutual admiration society na tayo, Jelyn. Okay, I really enjoyed your time, Jelyn. I really, really want to thank you for being on the show. Like I said, if people email me and then tell me we'll do a part 3, a part 4, a part 5, I don't mind. Sure. I just go by what people suggest as topics for the show. So, guys, if you want to feature a topic in the show, please email me at mimi@dinosocial.com. Samu't Sari is a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, available po according to Guerrilla Podcast in all the streaming services. And of course, please stay tuned to more episodes of Samu't Sari in my YouTube channel. This is Mimi and Jelyn saying bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
See ya. Salamat. Thank you.
If you find value in this episode, make sure you like and subscribe to be notified of new releases. If you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out to Guerrilla Podcast or send us an email at mimi@dinosocial.com. Spread the word and don't forget to tune in next time.